Today's episode of the Wholesale Daily Show, we're going to talk about zip codes, how to find the good ones, how to exclude the terrible, bad, junky ones that are going to waste your time when you drive out there all excited for how much this person is asking, only to find out that it's junk in the ghetto, burnt down with termites, and just not even worth your time. You would have been better off watching Netflix, eating chocolate ice cream.
Yeah.
I'm Dustin.
Wow. I'm Corey, and we have
Josh Blanchard here.
Oh, Josh, what's going on? Where are you at?
I'm at the top of a mountain, man. Living
Literally.
that. Exactly. Yeah. I don't know how much you can.
There it is. Boom. That's a shot.
Yeah. So I was working up here this morning, doing a hike.
That's a great little segue. So, as you know, Modern REI, Wholesale Daily Show, we want to talk about doing virtual real estate investing as well. And that's one of the things that we really kind of pride ourselves on. And yesterday, Josh was like, well, tell them what you said yesterday, Josh.
I think I said, would anyone have any reservations if I went up and worked from the top of a mountain? I want to do a hike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you find you've accomplished on this hike today?
Oh, man. Well, I had a great chat with another business guy. So we were able to kind of get that camaraderie, hike up the mountain, get in shape. And then at the top here, just enjoy work and enjoy that freedom. And I'm still talking to people in Cincinnati, still talking to people all over the country, both countries. And so still being able to be efficient while, hiking up a mountain with a beautiful, incredible view in the snow.
Nice. Yeah, it definitely is great when you can get out. It's weird. A lot of your best ideas too are going to come when you actually get out in nature.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs is a big fan of doing walking meetings, and it's way easy for us these days just to not leave the house because everything is at our fingertips. So cracking on to today's topic, we want to talk about zip codes. Cracking on to the topic. Zip codes. For the folks who are doing wholesaling already or getting into it, this is a very important dynamic of your investing because, for example, we've definitely made the mistake of targeting and spending money, sending mail, calling leads, doing first home visits in really bad areas. And you show up and it's just a complete waste of time. So you want to avoid that. There's going to be enough junk you're going to have to sort through anyway. And if you can exclude the bad zip codes. So let's talk about what are good zip codes and what are bad zip codes. And if you live in the city, you'll have a pulse on it. But if you're wanting to do this stuff virtually, or you want to target a city anywhere in North America, which we highly encourage you to do if you have the ambition, you want to go ahead and definitely exclude some of the crap zip codes and double down on the really good ones. So Josh has a lot of experience with sorting through good zip codes and bad zip codes. Josh, you want to share with the good people what sites and tools they could use for identifying good zip codes and bad zip codes?
www.areavibes.com is easily going to be one of the best. And what I love about Area Vibes so much is it'll actually show you a map of the city. And then within that map, it's going to divide it up into neighborhoods. And it's going to color code them so that you can see green being above average. This is a good neighborhood. Yellow being average. And then and then red or dark red being below average. And so this is an incredibly quick, easy way. You spend 5 minutes and you can already have a good pulse on what is going to be a good neighborhood, what's a bad neighborhood. And then further from there, you can look into the demographics, look into the crime. And there's you can easily find out really quickly what are the worst neighborhoods in this city. And a lot of times, you're going to be dealing with motivated sellers. You're going to find that the bulk of them could be in those areas. I remember when we were buying a lot of property in Philadelphia, the bulk of the houses were in this place called Strawberry Mansion, which ironically, even with the name there, that was the worst neighborhood. And then like Nicetown. And so you want to make sure that you're not wasting time in places like that, because even if you get a deal for 5K, if the house is only worth 45, 50K and it's dilapidated, needs a lot of work, you're going to be underwater probably most of the time. And so you want to be focusing on areas where, it's a little bit better, in that yellow area, or even, on those areas too. You don't necessarily need to write them off, but you could look at houses maybe that are starting to get to the edge of those lines where it's not as bad. But a lot of times in area vibes with those dark red areas that are like super bad, the worst neighborhoods, there's just not a whole lot of stuff there for you to do. And a lot of investors, it's gonna really close the window of options of who's gonna buy it. And so, especially with wholesaling, where you're trying to make money just off the contract, it's a tough game. So sticking with those zip codes in green and yellow, and even red is okay, but dark red, you definitely want to avoid.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things we take very seriously as we're sending out our mailing campaigns, as we're cold calling and generating leads. And it just can become very painful after a while, after you've repeatedly went and done first home visits in places where things are just absolute junk. And your time is very important, especially if you're doing a lot of this yourself. Like if you're starting off with this and maybe you're doing everything, like the inbound calls, the marketing, talking to the sellers, negotiating contracts, doing the follow-up, and your time is very important. The flip side of it is probably every now and then, like, to get your chops in this, important to go and get that experience, because if you haven't been to many houses, you don't know how to evaluate them. So it's one thing that we obviously take very seriously when we're pulling our leads and when we're creating leads for our cold calling and for our concierge thing that we do, where we get leads for other folks. So, for example, if we were going to generate leads for you, we would ask you what zip codes you want to exclude, and then our cold calling team would generate those leads. So if you're interested in us generating leads for you without having to hire a cold calling team, type the word leads in the comments, or if you're listening on the podcast, go to modernrei.com. And one of the things that we provide at Modern REI is phone qualified, motivated seller leads, so that you don't have to build yourself a cold calling team. So type the word leads in the comments and we can help you out with that if you're looking for leads.
Here's another thought too. Just as wholesalers too, when we get a deal in an area like that, even if you get a deal where there's margin and you can make money, you might be hard pressed to find someone who wants to buy that house. And we've experienced it where we've had a house in a desirable location and it's like full price, asking, offer, bidding war, all this awesome stuff happens right away, because people want to, they want to buy a house there that's desirable, it's not crap. And so even if you have a house even if you have a house under contract and there's equity there and there's margin, but it's in an area that's not desirable, you're going to be hard pressed to wholesale that. And a lot of that kind of stuff will keep away investors. And that's just another kind of problem. So even if you put in all the work, you get the house under contract, but if it's in a crappy zip code that nobody wants to buy in, you are probably going to have a really hard time selling it. We've experienced that too, where on paper, these numbers look great, but okay, nobody wants to buy here. And so then it's like, wow, a lot of time we went or wasted in that, right? And so getting yourself in those good positions with those great zip codes, or stuff that's yellow, green, and area vibes, that's going to be super helpful.
Yeah, it's true. Nice. True blue.
Oh, guys, it is so cold up here.
Josh is outside right now,
Sweet shirt.
freezing. Corey.
There's too many kids on the inside.
Yeah, I was kind of loud.
Inside,
Yeah.
but I'm just like I'm legit wearing this just like workout clothes.
Gun show. Josh is outside, and there's actually a bear up there that is. He's not domestic, but I can't remember.
There it is.
He's coming for you.
Like two bears that look like humans.
The old two bears.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing right now. We're always pulling lists. We're always evaluating this stuff. And every time you go and pull a fresh batch of data, you're going to want to find the zip codes to exclude so that you can have maximum targetization.
I mean, when you're first starting, you might not know either, and that's fine. And that's why you can use area vibes to kind of avoid the dark red stuff and even the red. But, you know, there might be good deals in there if you have buyers that are willing to buy and hold on to those properties in the red. But if you're trying to flip it to a wholesaler that wants to like flip it to another wholesaler, wants to fix and flip it, and they're just getting started, they might be super scared of those areas. So I think that's what we kind of noticed is our buyers list was more people who they were fixing and flipping and they weren't holding it. So like if you were to buy a house in a bad area and you knew that area was going to get better, you would hold it and that'd be fine. But so maybe when you're first starting, like avoiding these areas, the red and the dark red, but it's not to say you can't invest there. You might still find deals. And if you can find a buyer who wants to buy it, that's great. But what we're saying is we have struggled getting rid of properties in those areas. So.
Now, the contradiction to this is if you're buying it like a tax deed sale. So there might be stuff in the ghetto at a tax deed sale, but if you can buy it for $500 to $2,000 and then sell it for 10, then it's going to be worth it. So there's always going to be exceptions to every rule. And it's kind of a dichotomy depending on what it is, but you'll have your 80-20 in your bread and butter formula, and then there'll be outliers along the way that you'll identify, and you'll have to go through this to really develop your eye. And there's people that are listening right now that have never done a deal, and there's people that have done a lot of deals, and this might be kind of boring for you, but we'll do our best to make it not boring and exciting by revealing embarrassing facts about each other. Where to start there?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
But yeah, guys, once again, we're Modern REI, Wholesale Daily Show, coming to you 5 days a week. If you're listening on the podcast, we'd love it if you could leave us a comment, a review. That would be great. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe. If you have any questions, we're really great at getting to those in the comments and bringing those to a lot of these daily shows as well, because we're profiling what we're doing while answering your questions along the way. And of course, if you are looking for motivated seller leads and want to add the power of cold calling without having to set up a sales floor, we can generate leads for you in your city at a better cost than direct mail. So type the word leads in the comments and we can get you more information on how we can hook you up with some pre-qualified motivated seller leads. Yeah. So Josh, thank you for joining us on the top of the mountain. For the folks live on Instagram here, we go live every day around this time.
Yep.
And yeah, very excited to bring you on the journey with us as we're going to try to do $1 million in deals this year and the ups and downs. On that note, we're going to sign off and we'll see you tomorrow.
All right. See everybody.
All right.
Thanks, Josh.
Take care, everybody.